request. Maureen, I sent you. Curtis sent you a request.
Got it. I'm here.
And Scott. All right.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Mountain Hour at 5. It is Thursday, and we have a fantastic topic that we are going to talk about. It is quite relevant since I just got my ballot in the mail on yesterday. I think it was yesterday. So we are going to be talking about how to vote using the mail-in ballot system accessibly today. And so we have next week, we're going to have a wonderful presentation from our diversity group on Wednesday. Tomorrow, we're encouraging people, and the information has been put on Colorado Talk, to attend the Black Leaders of the National Federation of the Blind happy hour, so that we can raise a toast and support our fellow Federationists and the Black Lives Matter. And so that's going to be really fun. I hope everybody is able to enjoy that at 6 p.m. Tomorrow. And then, of course, next week, the Wednesday call will be our normal 5 o'clock. And I believe that's the only call that we're going to be having for Mountain Hour next week, will be our next Wednesday diversity call. Maureen, do you have anything?
Yeah, hi everybody. So just a reminder that if you are having any issues related to COVID-19 or rideshare issues because of the use of a guide dog, so please call 303-778-1130, extension 219. You can also reach us with any questions or comments at assistance@nfbco.org. And I think that's all I have. So I'll turn it to Scott.
I really don't have much else. Of course, I don't know if Jess mentioned this, but we're still trying to get people to register for the National Convention. We've been doing well, but, you know, I'm always restless and greedy and want to get big numbers. So let's make sure we register. The deadline is Friday. The registration is free. And if you don't register, you can't win the oodles of cash and other great prizes that are going to be available. And
wait. You said the 15th.
Yeah, isn't that Monday?
Yep. Unless you got a memo that I didn't get, that means we got the weekend to hustle people in, right?
Yeah, it's Monday, the 15th.
Oh, well, you just.
Okay, you said Friday.
It's been out there for a while.
Yeah, I know, but he said Friday. We just want to get the old man straight. That's all.
Friday. Well, tomorrow is Friday, and it's the 12th. So I goofed up. Monday, the 15th, 2020.
All right.
That should be clear.
So I got 3 days. If I go downtown Denver, right there on the street, I mean, there's a bunch of people I can, no problem. Yes. Yeah, right.
Anyway, so that's all I have, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion of voting. And I hope more people join us throughout the hour here, because people need to know how to vote accessibly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe, Curtis, I'll chat for a minute with folks, and then you can launch into the gritty details, because that's what I think we really want people to have a chance to hear about. But accessible voting right now, absentee or mail voting around the country is an issue that everybody's concerned about with the COVID-19. And I know a couple of states have had primaries, for example, in which, like Wisconsin actually didn't have a mail system set up, so they all had to go in and vote, and some people got sick as a result of going to vote. Other states have had their primaries. In Montana, I know, went all absentee ballot or all mail ballot for the first time ever. They don't have it. They have an absentee system, but not a regular mail ballot system like we have. We're one of the few states that has an all mail system. We went to that in 2014, and the answer for blind folks and accessibility was go to the polling place and use the accessible voting machines that we got as a result of National Federation of the Blind's advocacy under the Help America Vote Act. Well, that's all well and good, except that it isn't actually equal access. If everybody else can sit at their dinner table and figure out what they want to vote on, this amendment, what was that one about, look it up, etc. review who the candidates are on in a given race, etc. So in 2019, we got a bill introduced, SB 202, and the idea, I'll let Curtis talk a little bit about this, but the idea was tested out in a couple other states, and Luann can maybe speak about this later, but the fact is, under the ADA Title II, we should have equal access. And we have all the same reasons to want to vote from home at our leisure at a time that works best for us rather than going to a polling place that every one of our sighted neighbors has as well. So we got the bill passed, and that was in some ways the easy part, because getting then a system in place that would work for people, that would really truly be accessible and usable by blind folks, took a lot of other work, and Curtis deserves a fair bit of credit on that because he kind of bird dogged these folks from the Secretary of State's office. To their credit, they actually moved quickly to get a system in place, but to make sure all the details were right, Curtis was on them constantly, and we have a better system as a result of that. So, Curtis, you want to add anything, or maybe just show us what you're going to show us?
Well, here, let me. This idea, Luann, you were there, weren't you, in Maryland? Maryland was the first state that I knew of that actually started this whole process of making something accessible in such a way that the blind voter would not have to go to the polls. And I remember having a discussion with Chris Danielson about this when I was living in New Mexico. This is about 3 or 4 years ago. And he explained to me the whole nitty-gritty of how it worked, which was essentially you went online and requested an absentee ballot, and then you had to be provided with certain credentials, and eventually you got a link to which was supposed to be your ballot, not the same day, but maybe when the voting actually opened, in theory, you'd get an email and it would say, here's your ballot. You'd vote it up, mark it, print it, do whatever, and then send it on in. So I didn't come up with this idea by myself, but I thought, hey, this is great. If Maryland can do it, why can't New Mexico? So in New Mexico and in Maryland, I still believe the process is a little different from Colorado. In Colorado, we did not know this when we first started, because when we first started working on this, we thought that our system would behave the same. That is to say, the voter would go and online and fill out some kind of form verifying who they were, and then eventually somebody would get back to them, some automated system with an email that says, here's your ballot. Well, guess what? In Colorado, our new system, which is actually spawned from an outfit called Democracy Live, Luann, I know you've heard about them, you can go in, and as soon as the print ballots are mailed out, which was Monday of this week, the 8th, I don't know if my ballot is here yet, but it doesn't really matter, because if I know that the ballots have been sent out, guess what I can do? I don't even have to wait till the ballot reaches my mailbox. I can go to a website, I can validate who I am, I can certify that I am a person with a disability as defined by the Americans with Disability Act. And Colorado doesn't even say upon penalty of perjury. The New Mexico one says upon penalty of perjury, I so certify that I am a person with a disability as defined by the Americans with Disability Act. And in 2 seconds, my ballot will come up. So as of Monday of this week, we're 22 days before the actual election itself. Voters with a disability who have a computer or a smartphone can actually bring up their ballot. So I want to walk you through a little bit about how the process works. So let me see.
Meeting controls. Task switching. Welcome Colorado voters - Google Chrome.
Okay, so Kevin, my screen's coming out, right?
Virtual
there
keys.
It is. And this is JAWS talking at a very slow rate.
Please select one of the blank. Heading level 1. Welcome Colorado voters.
Okay, so here's what it says.
Blank. Please select one of the options below to continue. If you do not want to vote today, but would like to view your sample ballot, select View my sample ballot below. Blank. Heading level 2. Vote my ballot. Continue button.
All right, so there's a button on the page that says continue. So I'm going to push
Welcome
that.
Colorado voters - Google Chrome. Continue button. Voter lookup - Google Chrome. Voter look.
So I've been here before.
First name start.
So I just jump right in my first name.
First name.
And so I'm going to fill
I-R.
out
C space. Last month combo. 1, 2, 3. Date 1, 2. Year combo. 19. County star combo. Select Adams, Alamos, Arapahoe.
So in the verification process is wanting my name, first and last, my birth date, and my county. So the voter must know what county he or she lives in.
Continue button.
And so we're going to
Voter
go to
lookup.
the page.
Ballot type dash virtual piece.
Now you get to request a type of ballot.
I am requesting an emergency ballot.
You can request an emergency ballot,
I am requesting an accessible ballot radio button not.
and this is an accessible ballot,
These do not apply radio.
or these do not apply. So I'm going to
I am
request
requesting an accessible.
an accessible ballot,
These go continue button.
and I'm going to hit continue.
Ballot type. Please confirm you are eligible to access this system. Virtual. Please can I certify that the statement above is true. Checkbox not checked.
I certify that the statement above is not true, which I could avoid reading it, just like the license agreement for software. But it basically says,
Blank. I affirm that I am a voter with a disability as defined in the Americans with Disabilities Act. Blank. I certify that the statement above is true. Checkbox checked. Go back. Continue button.
and I'm going to go here.
Continue button. Please confirm you are eligible to access this system. Voter verification.
Now, it wants one of two pieces of information.
Social left paren last four right paren password.
It either wants my social, last 4 digits, or
Driver's license password edit.
driver's license password, which I presume would also include state ID. So I'm just going to type.
Social left paren.
You guys won't hear this.
No place marker. Social.
Here we go.
Continue button. Voter verification. Voter verification. Select a language heading. Main menu. Select a party's ballot heading level 1.
Now, because I'm registered as an uncommitted voter, I have
Blank. Because you are not blank. Main region end. Main region end.
What?
Voter. Select a party. Blank. Because you are not a member of a party, you may vote in the Democratic, Libertarian, or Republican primary. Select one party's ballot below to continue. Blank. Select button. Democratic. Select Libertarian.
I'm going to pick
Select Republican.
the Republican
Go back
one, and the
button.
button is above the party, not below.
Select button.
So here's,
Main region. Select button. Ballot marking dash Google Chrome. Voter
so I picked Republican.
Ballot marking. Ballot marking dash Google Chrome. Select main menu. Ballot marking head blank. Your ballot is presented below. To mark your selection, click on a checkbox. To remove a selection, click on the checkbox again.
Okay, now technically, if you're a non-visual user, you're not going to be clicking on anything. You're going to use the space bar. But since I know that these are really truly checkboxes, I can jump around with a JAWS shortcut.
Corey Gardner checkbox not checked. Steve House checkbox not checked. Richard Murray checkbox not checked.
So I'm going to cast a few votes, none of which reflect my real preferences here.
Richard Murray checkbox checked. Priscilla Ron checkbox not checked. 4 of blank. Heading level 3 state senator dash district 20. Left paren 1 check. Carl Stecker checkbox not checked.
I'll vote for him.
State representative left per 1 checkboxes. Robert quote Bob quote Andrews checkbox not checked.
I'll vote for
Robert
him.
6 of blank. Heading level 3 district attorney dash 8. Left per 1 checkboxes. John Kellner checkbox not checked.
So nobody there.
Go back. Continue button.
Now I'm done marking my ballot.
Selection review dash Google Chrome. Select main menu. Selection review heading blank. Your ballot choices are shown below. Blank. Heading level 2 official Republican Party ballot. Heading level June 2nd 30th. Heading level June 2nd 30th. 2020 statewide primary election.
I don't know why it does that.
UNE30T. Heading level 2 Arapahoe County. Heading level 2 precinct : 6. Heading level 2 heading level 3 United States warning. 0 selections made. Change button. Link skip to bottom. Blank. Heading level 3 representative to the 117th United warning. 0 select change button.
I
Link
thought I
skip to
checked all these.
blank. Heading level 2
You skipped some races. That's what you did.
You
Yeah.
did, yeah.
level
further
3
down, for under state offices, it has the ones you did, but there's a couple above that. I guess.
Oh, right, that I didn't choose.
Richard Murray. Change button. Link skip
That's okay. So
That's
so the ones that are skipped are good.
blank. Heading level Carl Stecker. Chain links blank. Heading level 3 state representative Rob Chain links blank. Heading level 3 district attorney John change button. Go back button. Continue button.
Okay, so now that I'm done, this is the part where when you're doing this on a Windows computer, one of the problems with this process is one that we did not anticipate when we first started, and that is the requirement that all of this stuff has to be printed. Well, as we know now, lots of people today don't have printers in their personal possession. And so they really can't use this system because they think, well, I don't have a printer, so I don't know what to do. The nice thing about how printing works is, for example, if you did this on an iPhone, for example, you could find a friend or somebody who has a wireless printer and your phone could find it.
Go back, continue button.
Or if you're on a Windows computer, you actually can take, there's two documents that get generated out of this.
Print your,
One of them is the ballot itself, and the other one is something called the ballot application, which is a printed document that is actually filled in by the software with all of your information. And what you have to do as a voter is scroll your signature on the bottom part of the page. And you can save both of these documents, both the ballot and the ballot application, as PDF files, which you can then copy to a flash drive and take somewhere and have them printed if you don't yourself have a printer and you are determined. It's not perfect, because obviously you have to travel somewhere to get the printing done, or bribe somebody who you can email the stuff to, and then of course you have to have them swear in a stack of some things that they won't reveal your ballot to anybody.
print your, select a language
So,
heading, main,
Curtis?
print your,
Sir,
Well,
Dan.
Before you move on to printing, maybe we ought to talk a little bit. You ought to talk a little bit about this page, the review page, because
Yeah.
First of all, it did tell you that you didn't vote on some things.
Yes.
But there's a lot of room for redemption on this page if you want to talk about that.
Yes, there is.
blank. Now that you have made your
I
selection,
want to go back.
print select, go back button.
Go back. There we
Selection,
go.
main region.
So I found this.
Select, main, selection, official republic, selection review heading level, blank. Your ballot choice, blank. Heading level, head, war, zero, change button. Link skip to
Right.
bottom.
So here's a change button.
Blank.
So if I missed one,
Links change, zero, select, warning. Heading level 3 United States Senator. Warn, zero, change button.
okay, so I'm going to hit change, and what that's
Ballot
going to
marking
do.
dash Google Chrome. Heading level 3 United States virtual representative to the 100 United States Senator left paren 1 checkboxes. Cory Gardner check, go back to review 2 of go Cory Gardner checkbox not checked.
Okay, so if as I'm looking at this, I notice that there's only one person running for Senate on the Republican ticket. I still do not have to vote for this person if I don't want to. This is not going to invalidate my ballot. But as you see, anytime that I hit the change button, it basically takes you back to the original ballot, and you can make all the changes you want, change your mind. You have oodles of time to do this. And once that's done, you can hit the continue again. So I'm going to vote for this guy.
Cory Gardner checkbox not checked. Go back to Cory Gardner checkbox
There we
checked.
go.
Go 2 of 6 blank. Heading level 3 representative to the 100 left paren vote for 1 checkboxes. Steve House checkbox not
There
checked.
we go.
Steve House checkbox check blank. Heading level 2 state offices 3 of 6 blank. Heading level 3 regent of the universe left paren 2 checkboxes. Richard Murray checkbox checked. Priscilla Ro
Okay, so this gives you ample opportunity. So I'm going to go back now to continue
go back continue
and
button.
see what happens here.
Selection review dash Google Chrome. Virtual heading level 1 select blank. Your ballot choices are shown below blank. Heading level 2 official Republican Party ballot. Heading head core change links Cory Gardner change button. Link skip blank. Heading level 3 representative to the 1 Steve House change button. Link skip to bottom blank. Heading level 2 heading level 3 regent of the university Richard Murray change button. Link skip
So
to
the
bottom.
skip to bottom is a way. Let us suppose, as we did in one of our elections years ago, had 150 some. Is that how many? 50, 60 different choices you could make. Arrowing through this gets really tedious, right? So I can hit the skip button and go all the way down to the bottom to hit my print function, which is really nice. So of course I know how to.
Apply continue button.
I just jumped to the bottom of the page with JAWS and I backed up to the previous button, and there it says continue.
Go back button. Link skip to bottom.
So right, and I don't know what this skip to bottom button on the very last one is going to tell me. So now
Go continue button.
so I have all kinds of opportunities. I can even go back to the ballot again if I really wasn't sure, or if somebody said, I'll give you a burger if you'll just change your vote.
Continue.
Or something like that, which of course nobody should be looking as I do this.
Print your selections.
So here's the print. So,
Print your selections. Select a language. Main menu. Print your blank. Now that you have made your selections, please click on the Print Selections button below to print your ballot. Blank. Once you have printed your ballot, continue to the next page to print the additional materials you will need to return your ballot to your county clerk. Blank. Print Selections
okay,
button.
so print
Blank.
selections. I'm going to hit
Print Selections
that
button. Print Selections button. Print. Cancel button. Save button. Cancel button. Frame. Fit to width button. Cancel. Save. More settings button. Layout combo box. Pages destination combo box. Save as PDF.
Okay, so on my computer under Chrome, one of the choices I have as a printer, this is a thing in Windows, by the way. Instead of picking a real printer, you can pick an option that says save as PDF. And this is what I want to do with my ballot. So I'm going to go over here.
More setting. Save button. Pages. Destination. Frame. Zoom out button. Destination combo box. Save as PDF. Zoom in button. Fit to width. Cancel button. Save
I'm gonna hit
button.
Save.
Save as dialog. File
I'm
FD.
going to change it to
Select period.
ballot.pdf.
Ballot.pdf. Progress bar.
It's going to go to
Downloads.
my downloads folder, and I'm going to
Save
hit
button.
save.
Print unavailable. Print your selections. Print your selections dash Google Chrome
Okay,
Virtual
so that
PC.
ballot now has been saved in a place where I can now get to it later, and I can work with it.
Go back button. Blank. Print selections button. Blank. Once you have printed your ballot, continue to the next page to print the additional materials you will blank. Print blank. Go back button.
And
Continue
then I
button.
have to go down here to where it says continue.
And we've got
Continue
a
button. Additional.
What was that?
we've got a raised hand if you want to take it at the end or now or however you want to do it.
I'll take it. It's good.
Chelsea Cook, I sent you a request to unmute, Chelsea. All right.
Hey Curtis, thanks
Hey,
for
Chelsea.
hey, I listened to the chapter when the Board of Elections. I'm not awake today. But it's really good to hear this in practice. Couple comments. Number one, macOS also has the fancy print PDF feature. Number two, it said something about a sample ballot, so that
Yes.
might be kind of nice. How does
The sample ballot basically is one that you can pull even before the ballots are mailed out. I actually did it last week because I wanted to see who the candidates were that were running for the different parties. And it's a way to bring up all the names of who's running for offices so you can decide, like if you're an uncommitted voter, which party you have a better shot at. And I want to say one thing about this particular system. It doesn't matter how many times you actually go and mark and print and fill out your ballot. You can do
okay?
this.
That's the other question.
Yeah, you can do this multiple times. The system doesn't care. I'll tell you what the safeguard is. You can print 10, 15, 20 of them, and it doesn't really matter. The system's going to let you in, and it's going to let you mark and print your ballot and do whatever you want. The stopgap is when the paper reaches the processing center. When the paper reaches the processing center, the first one that they touch with your name on it, and once they have validated that you are who you say you are, that ballot gets counted and entered into the system. Any subsequent ballot, and by the way, this is a felony, according to the language I read, if they catch you doing 2, 3, or 4, or 5, the reality is they never enforce it anyway. They just stop all those subsequent ballots from being processed. And the interesting thing, Chelsea, you would care about is, because I was concerned when this whole thing got started, this ballot is printed on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. That does not resemble at all the official printed ballot that is sent out in the mail and processed at the counting center. So what is the procedure? What do they do? Well, lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, they resort to a very mechanical, very antiquated, but effective procedure, given the low numbers of people who do this. They take all these ballots on separate pieces of paper, and they get one person from each party in the same room sitting in front of 2 different voting machines. And what they do is they copy your ballot into the machine, and then your ballot is then reprinted onto a regular ballot and thrown into the stack along with everybody else. And there is no distinguishing then when you count through the ballots which one was voted by a person with a disability.
Except you gotta hope they do it right.
Well, that there is the question of human error, right? And so if there is human error, there's not much we can really do about it, unfortunately. And I don't know how we could develop a cost-effective way to do this if we want to maintain our ability to do printing at home. I mean, obviously, Chelsea, a system could be developed by the Cracker Jack programmers, and they could read the paper in, and then the software could produce the regular ballot. But I think that would cost enough money that it's just not worth it. And frankly, they do this for the overseas voters anyway, so it's the same process, right? By the time they get it.
Okay.
So, okay.
Heading Level 1 Additional Ballot Material blank. First, click the Print Application button below to print your accessible ballot application form. But you must sign it once it has been printed. You blank. Second, place the ballot in the accessible ballot application that you printed in an envelope. Make sure to include your signed application in the envelope, because this is how your county will identify you and count your ballot.
See, so the instructions are pretty clear here.
Blank. Finally, return the envelope with your ballot materials included. You may either deliver your ballot in person to any voter service and polling center, or drop box, or mail your ballot back to your county. If you mail your ballot back, write on the envelope, quote, official ballot enclosed quote. The Postal Service needs time to process and deliver your ballot, so we recommend delivering your ballot to your county clerk in person if possible. Your ballot must be received by your county no later than 7 p.m. on June 30th. Blank. If you have questions about this process, contact your county using the Contact Us link at the top of this page of your application. Blank. Print Application button.
Okay, so the print application button will actually send this, what will it do? Let me see.
Untitled Google Chrome.
It opens up.
Save as
Oh,
dialog.
here we go.
AAB 11E52-907.
This one actually takes you, I don't understand why this is different from the ballot. Why does the ballot invoke the print function, whereas what this one does is it just
saves
opens
the
a PDF.
tab, yeah, for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's weird.
But that, I like this part. I wish
Yeah.
my ballot would do the same thing,
Right.
you know.
So
So I can go here and
Select
say ballot application.
And period. Progress downloads. Cancel. Save button. Ballot application. No button. Yes.
As you can see, I
Untitled
already had
alert.
another file there called ballot application, so I just overwrote it. So that is how the entire process works, and it's very accessible. You can do this with JAWS, with NVDA, and you can also do this since you're using a regular browser with whatever magnification software you're using on the computer. And if you're using the phone, you can use Safari and with VoiceOver, or Safari with Zoom, and it will all work very nicely. The print functions might behave a little bit differently, and there might not be. I haven't tried to capture this on the phone to see if there's a way to save it in PDFs. But Dan, did you try it? Yeah, you can talk about that.
I was actually, my plan was, because you can't share the iPhone audio easily on Zoom. I was working on making a little video today, and I was going to focus on just the printing part of it. And what I found was, sadly, we had a power outage at the center on Tuesday.
Dang.
And so our servers are down. There's no way I can print. Even Wi-Fi wouldn't work on our Wi-Fi printer. So, but what I can tell you is that at least as I was playing with it, I saw no way to save as a PDF, because of course I thought of that. And so I got stuck at the printing the ballot part. So I'm not sure that if you're not, for example, going to be, say, at the local library where you have it, can use it, get access to a printer, or wherever else it might be. I'm not sure that you'd be able to finish the process until you do that.
Chrome button menu. Customize and control.
Yeah. What it does do, when you do print the ballot out from your iPhone, and it works, it's pretty slick.
Task switching.
Very well.
Meeting controls.
If you're comfortable using the iPhone for a lot of things, shopping and so on, you won't have any difficulty with this. You send it to the printer, and then it does bring up the application, and it saves the application into your Files app, which is something I didn't know about until we were testing it back in October. But from there, you can open it and print it quite easily as well. So that's my iPhone voting movie that I just shared with you.
Woo-hoo, I like it.
Yeah, I like that. Great editing too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We've got another hand if you're interested here. Phone number ending in 6321.
That's Luann. Curtis, the PDF that you downloaded from the system, is that accessible?
Yes.
Okay.
We had some trouble with the reading order, because what happens is the software populates the form with your name, your county, and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the application form. The ballot application is accessible too. You can read who you voted for. Essentially what it does is it just prints the names of the people you voted for, not anybody else. And so we tested that, and we found out they were not those scan type PDFs. We did find a problem with the order of the reading of the information. What happened was all the stuff that was filled in showed up at the bottom. And I confessed that they were supposed to fix that problem by this election. And we don't know, I won't know till I actually do the process of voting, which I'm not quite ready to do, but I'm going to, and then I'm going to check to see, because, you know, obviously they won't fix anything until this election is over for the next round. They promised me they would fix it. I want to see now if the promise was fulfilled, and I can't say yes or no yet.
And I'm also curious about you know, accessing and marking the ballot on the iPhone. I had tried doing that with my iPhone, just kind of testing the system, I don't know, a month or so ago. And I was not able to sign with VoiceOver on, so I'm curious, did anybody experience that same issue using the iPhone?
To sign the ballot, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, see, you got to print this system we have. You have to print it out.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
but I'll tell you what I
right.
did, Luann. I have a graphic of my signature, which I routinely use when I want to sign something from the computer. And I took one of the things we got them to do is to make the bottom third of the ballot application completely blank. So it doesn't matter where, you know, if you go 8 inches from the top, you got a blank spot. So what I did was I printed the application then what I did was I opened up a blank document in Word, and I went 8 inches down and I put my signature. Then I took the application page, I stuck it in the printer the right way, and had Word print the blank document with my signature in it, and then it worked. So that was that was a workaround.
Yeah.
That
very
worked for
clever.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Terrific.
That's a lot of work
that.
just to sign your name, though, I think.
I know. I could have. Now that I know the bottom is blank, I can just put my, pen on the paper and just scrawl, right? I mean, who cares? It works. Except that I will tell you, they really do some signature comparisons, because in the last election, I received an email from the county saying that my signature was not valid and that I had to resort to Plan B in order to get myself validated, which I did do, but they do compare against your signature in the registration form and the signature on the ballot envelope.
So, yeah, and we should talk about the ballot envelope, because we've had our county clerk and recorder. She was at the Denver chapter for a meeting, and she was at the Aurora chapter. One of the things that we learned from her that I never knew, this ballot envelope has holes in it. And on the back, there's 2 holes down in the bottom third of the thing. And between those 2 holes is where you sign the ballot envelope. And before you mail it. And that's important, because otherwise, as a blind person, I'd have to have somebody show me where I was supposed to sign it, but you can do it tactily. So
I thought that was very clever. And I also asked her, if I didn't use the ballot envelope, what would I have to do? And the instructions on this site make it very clear that what you can do is put it in a regular envelope, but you have to print on the outside somewhere, official ballot enclosed, so that somebody knows what to do with it when they get it. Because the ballot gets mailed to the county clerk's office in whatever county you're registered to vote in.
And you can do it that way, but I think it's really best to use the, prepaid envelope they send you, which is addressed, and just sign it. And that way your ballot, you can officially know when they receive it and count it.
I agree. Now, are those postage paid envelopes there, Scott?
I don't.
Yeah, they
I'm
are.
not sure. I have to check, because what we've always done, Curtis, is we've had, we've dropped them off in a Dropbox just because, I don't know, I feel a little bit more secure that way than I do the mail.
I do too, and I like our Dropbox is a 15-minute walk away from here, so for us, and I prefer that way myself. But one time I did use the post office, and clearly it worked, because 3 days later, that's when I got the nasty gram from the county.
Well, and the mail thing, is there's a time factor. It's several days, beforehand that you've got to seriously consider taking the ballot to a drop off.
Now, you know, the city of Denver did something very interesting in the municipal election they held last May, because they actually were the first city in Colorado to do online ballot marking for people who didn't want to, and they didn't even say for people with a disability. They said, if you have trouble with the mail ballot, here's an online system you can use. And what they did was you could take a picture of your ballot and the application, and they gave you an email address that you could send that to. This was strictly for Denver voters. And so I was kind of watching the process because I thought, wow, this is really cool. The city of Denver just did this without anybody kicking them to tell them to go ahead and do it. And so I know a couple of people who actually did take advantage of the ability to email the PDFs directly to a thing, and their ballots were counted. They checked, and that's what we found out. So proof of concept has already been established by the city of Denver.
I think our next step is to make this system totally online, or via email or whatever, because of the printer issue. And as I understand it, the UCAVA voters can, I don't know, Curtis, do you know whether they email back in their ballots or whether they it's recorded online somehow?
I think they mail it in or fax it in or something like that.
I don't think they mail it.
I don't think mail would work from overseas, right? But
No,
I think they have
I
a
know.
way to electronically to do it, and I'm not exactly sure. I was trying to find out from our clerk how that worked, and I didn't get the information because she did not know, frankly. So
She's pretty new.
I'd like to find out. Yeah, I will check.
Actually, the printing part of this, I can't remember exactly why we let this stay in there, but we met with some resistance from the Secretary of State folks, and that was something we decided we would just have to concede in order to get the bill passed this last in 2019, I think. But we can go back and fix it.
I think that I was actually. I'm not sure. Maryland had much more paranoid security people, if I remember correctly, when that whole business got started. And we had to go to court, I remember, to get them to stop blocking this, even though the elections board was in favor of all this happening. And I think that's what I call the tripwire that's going to cause all the security advocates to worry. And so we have to figure out how this can be done, because we went back to paper ballots because of all the miscounting and stuff that was done way back in 2002. So I think we can win on this. I think we just have to plan it carefully is all, because I'd love to be able to submit electronically and not mail
Absolutely.
Yeah,
anything
that'll be wonderful. That'll make it fantastic.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'll have to buy a printer.
Maybe they could just assign us codes or something.
I think that if we found a willing administrator, that we could sit in on the design of this and come up with a system that would work. The key thing is to have the dialogue.
You need barcode.
There really is no system, any type of voting system, that is 100% full.
Exactly.
And so these arguments about security are mostly, for me, hollow.
Yes.
Chelsea
We have another.
Cook.
I could go off on a tangent. I read
Whose hands up?
article recently
Chelsea.
about the 1904 Colorado gubernatorial election. There was one precinct in which they didn't put any ballots in the ballot box. The people that had bought the election told the precinct captain what the count was going to be in that precinct, and that's what he wrote down.
Well, okay, Chelsea.
So I can't speak to the security or the overseas, but of course I would know this. I was just reading a book a couple months before the pandemic about Scott Kelly's year in space, and there was an election, and he got the ballot emailed to him. I think it was encrypted, so I think it either had a password or he was able to sign it on his tablet or something and re-encrypted it and sent it back. And at first I was like, oh man, why can't I do that? But then I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That's
you know why you could do that and you couldn't? It's because he was an astronaut and you weren't.
I know.
That's it.
I know.
That's a great book, and it's available on Bard. By the way, Endurance, My Year in Space, I think is the title.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to read
Yeah,
that.
that's it.
Oh, and he reads it himself, which is kind of fun.
That's
From
great.
space. All right.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah.
So what we want to tell everybody is vote early, vote often, and
And don't worry, only your first vote will count.
That's right.
as you were saying, Curtis, you can print out as many of these things as you want.
Yep.
They're just going to copy, or they're just going to count whatever they receive first. Although it'd be kind of funny if somebody like tried to send like 50 different ballots into them. I suppose they'd disqualify you.
I think that if a person did that, usually they allow for accidents or something, but I think that if somebody did that, they would tag them, because remember, at the front end, they know exactly who you are before the ballot is put into the anonymous mix, right? So if somebody and the system is, your name in the registration database is voted, once they flag
Right.
you as having voted, anything else that comes in after that is ding, 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 ding against your record, and somebody's going to trip a flag eventually, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I just wanted to say a little bit about the electronic return of ballots. That's what really gets the security folks going. There are just a few states right now that permit electronic return of ballots, West Virginia and Delaware. Our current cases in Pennsylvania and New York were pushing to allow for electronic return of ballots for the final solution. But that's where the real battle lies right now.
Which one did we win? We won one.
Well, we got, yeah, so all three of them, the states were required to provide an accessible way to vote by mail, absentee for the primary elections. Those are, I think New York primary is coming up later this month. The Michigan and Pennsylvania primaries have already happened. So in Michigan and Pennsylvania, in New York as well, we're now working for them to come up with a permanent way to provide an accessible way to vote by mail, such as Democracy Live, or, there's a number of other systems that are available now. So, something like that.
I was following a thread on the NFB of Montana listserv. I don't know if anybody, I sent the meeting for the information on this call tonight. I don't know if anybody's on from Montana, but Jim Marks, who's the president of our affiliate there, was saying that they have an absentee ballot system, and there's an accessible option for blind folks or other folks with disabilities to use, but it is a fillable PDF once you get it, but you have to make the request, and I think we were talking about that earlier, where you have to fill out the form and send it, get blah, blah, blah. And Jim made the request and never heard back. And maybe part of that was just because the whole state suddenly went to a mail-only primary, which was, the date was June 2nd, so they had, to scramble to get it done. But I mean, he didn't get to vote, at all accessibly. I mean, he ended up having his wife fill it out, which he's never done. He usually goes in to vote at the voting thing, but that wasn't as great an option right now.
So am I correct, Luann, that Colorado, I don't think I am. There's got to be somebody else where you can get onto the site and get your ballot right away, right? I mean, we're not the only one. I can't believe that we are.
Well, I mean, most of the electronic ballot delivery systems work very similar to Colorado. So like here in Maryland, I used our Maryland electronic ballot delivery system last weekend, I think, to mark my ballot, and it's similar. I get an email with a link, and I click on that link, and then do a login and create a password, and then that takes me right to my ballot. So that's pretty typical.
No, but what if you don't get an email? See, in other words, my point is we don't get an email.
Well, and how fast do you get it?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
the Nevada system is similar to that. So you do not have to you don't have to wait for an email to access the Nevada system. So that's the same thing. I don't know of really, I mean, there may be some other systems like that or other jurisdictions that do it like that. I don't know, but there certainly could be.
I'm
Well, I think
curious
that's
how,
the preferred way. I mean, I don't like, if any state did it the way
Yeah.
Maryland does it right now, I'd be pushing real hard to change the law somehow, but.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Well, in fact, and that did cause Ron Offman an issue with the special, with the District 7 special election, the general election for that. She did not get the email, and so when she called up the Baltimore City Board of Elections office about it, they emailed to her an image PDF of the ballot. So, yeah.
Oh, God.
That's not good.
Yep.
That is totally
No.
insulting.
Yeah. So she ended up having to, get a ride out to one of the 4 voting centers that were open in Maryland on that day. So it definitely has caused some issues. And I think, the changing to the all vote by mail, it's caused a lot of confusion, in a number of states. So, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to
Yeah,
get
you
New
gotta be really
Mexico
vigilant.
to, if they're looking for legislative initiative in New Mexico, I'm trying to get them to go back to the legislature and say, change our system to behave the way
Yeah.
Colorado's does, because there's no reason why they
Mhm.
can't do that.
Yeah.
They can.
Yep.
I would really be curious to know what Oregon does. They've had a mail-only balloting system for longer than Colorado has. I wonder what
Yeah.
the accessibility options are there.
Yeah, so Oregon uses the 5-seaters ballot, which is an HTML ballot that gets emailed to the voter. And so what a lot of people like about that system is, you're not online when you're marking the ballot. So people do find that attractive.
So you get
Oh,
mailed
I see.
an HTML file that you then open and fill out.
Mhm. Yes, that's right.
And then how does it get returned?
They have
Well,
to
you
print
print
it,
it out.
Print
Yeah,
it.
you print it out and then mail it in.
because I know we did pass a resolution at one of our conventions not long ago that indicated that our preference is always for HTML forms versus PDF forms. And I totally agree with that. There's nobody has been able to make a PDF form really work well.
No, you can't really trust them.
Yeah, exactly. So given a choice, I would take HTML, and I like how ours has done it. I'm not sure where the stuff is held in terms of marking the ballot, because there's logic happening under the covers that we don't see. Is it on a server, or is this all handled locally on the computer by a very sophisticated JavaScript? I don't know the answer to that, and I suspect no one will tell me if I ask.
Yeah.
No, Curtis, it's somebody is actually watching you fill out your ballot, and they know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, that's it. And I understand about the not having a printer, and when we were doing a public education event at one of our libraries, we asked because the public library actually does provide printing services to patrons, right? And they charge you so many cents per page or something, cheaper than going to FedEx anyway. But the process seemed a bit convoluted when I looked at how it was done. So I'm not sure that I would suggest the average person go do it without a lot of help from somebody technical to get them through the process, And by doing, anytime you have to do anything extra to print, you're weakening the whole secrecy business, right? That's the problem.
The more public the printer, the less.
Right, the less secret is your ballot. So, that's another issue. But then again, I know how to handle when my technology fails. I do not know how to handle when the technology at the poll fails. And the first time Peggy and I went to the polls here in Colorado to vote, Peggy's machine crashed 3 times in 2.5 hours. So that didn't make me feel too good.
No, she was one of about 4 or 5 people, and all of them were in Arapahoe County that experienced the same thing. I was one of them.
Oh no.
And some of you guys didn't even get to vote at all, right? I mean, because of that, is what if my memory is right about that. So
I voted more than once.
Yeah.
It's good if you voted the right way, Dan.
Well, the first one crashed. It didn't get counted.
Oh, darn. Well, then I guess it doesn't matter which way you voted.
So I mean, there's only so much we can do. But the first election last November, only 20 people, and I don't know how much. I didn't get a report from for the March 3rd. I would be very interested in the November one. How many of our folks take advantage of it? I just think we should promote this to high heaven and encourage everybody to.
Well, and
please,
the interesting thing too, Curtis, is my understanding out of the most out of the 20 that used it. And admittedly, you know, the election, the 2019 election, the off-year election, as some refer to it, is not many people without disabilities voting in it either. I mean, it's you know, it's anyway. Of the 20, the highest number in terms of a county was Arapahoe County, in terms of people turning in those ballots.
Yeah,
so that was,
yeah. Many of them are on this phone call. Many of us are,
Yeah, right.
but we really do need to promote it and make sure it's used a lot more in November, or even now. But
no, yeah.
I can print at work. I guess I can do it because I can email it to myself and then print it at work because I can't have my phone to do Wi-Fi printing at work.
Right, you can email it to yourself and then just print the PDFs. Yeah.
There's not even a printer in Kevin's office there.
There probably is upstairs.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, so there you go.
Just take a flash drive up there and go print or something like that.
But all that speaks to the importance of trying to deal with the printing issue.
Oh, I agree. I don't think anybody will go around
printers
that.
too.
Yeah.
I have
a ballot and a printer at the same time. That's
Yeah.
great.
I bought a printer as soon as I moved down here, and I bought a printer, scanner, etc. And then 6 months later, I decided to print out a boarding pass, and it was blank. And then I spent another $50 getting new cartridges, and then 8 months later, I decided I better print another boarding pass, and it was blank again. So.
Yeah, every time you buy ink, it's like buying a printer over again too.
Yeah.
Really cheap printers that come with your first supply of ink.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, especially if you do color laser. I think the refill for the last color laser I had was $270. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
You could buy 3 little printers for that.
You could. Yeah, I know. So right now we have monochrome laser, and that doesn't dry out. So those cartridges will last. They're like $75 a piece or something.
And what's your Wi-Fi password?
Cocadilla Mangahuga. So anyway.
Do we have any more questions
If
for
anybody,
Dan and Curtis?
Raise your hand, *9 on the phone, Alt-Y on the computer, under the More section, I believe.
It's not under More anymore. It got moved.
It's not under More. It's under participants now on the iPhone.
Keep moving it, yeah.
They moved it.
Keep moving it around.
They keep moving it around.
All right, we got Joy. I sent you a request to unmute, Joy. There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, good. I sent a question in. I just wondered, is there a way a place to write in on the online ballot?
Oh, that's interesting.
I never did go looking for that. Yes, I think it's if the print ballot has a write-in, then the online one has a write-in.
Okay.
I think, and I don't know whether Colorado has a restricted write-in or whether it has an open write-in. I don't know. I know New Mexico's write-in was very restrictive. You had to match something. The people had to be on a write-in list. You couldn't just write in.
Oh, you can't write in Mickey Mouse?
No.
Oh,
But so, Joy, are you the one that always votes for Mickey Mouse for governor?
I am.
Yeah. So, did you vote in the primary? Did you use the voting system? Did you use to go to the polling place? What did you do?
What we ended up doing, we are signed up for always receiving an absentee ballot. And we took ours down to the polling place and ran it through the automark because that was our choice. We didn't have anybody here to scribe it for us, and I couldn't get the online voting thing to work.
Okay.
All right.
I think here in Montana, they're really kind of thinking that nobody would use the online voting because only one person did last election. And I don't know if anybody else has tried it.
Well, if it's a
Donia
crappy-
has her hand raised.
That's right. You don't answer people's emails, and you don't have anybody to use it.
Yeah, that's right.
Donna, you can unmute there. I sent you a request, or you can unmute. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You were, I didn't get every single thing. I was on the phone at first because I had trouble getting in, but you were just talking about printers. I just wanted to mention that Walgreens sells the $20 Canon printer. If that would be of help. Just
$20 bucks? That's
20 bucks.
darn good.
Yeah, Steve had one until he got his new computer, and we upgraded his printer as well. But yeah, it worked fine.
Wow.
But that's all it does is print.
So the bottom line is printers are cheap.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's less than an Uber ride over and back from the library. That's for sure.
Exactly. And so I just wanted to mention that.
Well,
The other thing is, now I don't know who all is on the call, but is anybody from the NFB on the call?
A lot of us are from the NFB.
But I mean, official people? Because I was wondering if this could be an issue for the NFB to be discussed at the annual meeting, and how do we get conversation going amongst all the people there about
So Luann Blake there, who works at our National Center in Baltimore, is the person who at the national level deals with voting accessibility. And we have a program, what is it called, Luann, now, where we regularly track problems that voters have, and we regularly push for national reform. I mean, there's an article that Luann wrote in the Monitor about voting accessibility. It was in the same Monitor that I wrote the article about Colorado, I think. And so that we are attacking this at the national level, but it's a huge mountain to move, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's a huge issue. And right now I am working with, oh my God, I don't know how many affiliates, because, most states still do not offer an accessible way to vote by mail. And, it's a real problem this year because so many elections have been moved to all vote by mail. So, blind voters either have to get someone to mark their ballot for them or, take their chances and go to the in-person polling place. It's not a very good choice. We've been involved in a number of lawsuits. There have been a couple of states where we have sent or 3 states where we sent demand letters or in the process of getting demand letters to send to them. I'm working with a number of our affiliates who have filed complaints with the Department of Justice. And they just keep coming. I've been spending probably 90% of my time the last 3 months just on voting. It's a huge issue right now.
So if anybody asks you, Luann, the fiscal note on our bill in Colorado, the total cost that was entered in by the people who calculated the thing was $50,000, a pittance. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, I think Colorado has the infrastructure that maybe some states don't have. I think we have a centralized voter database and stuff like that, which helps a lot to minimize what has to be done. And so it only costs the state $50,000 to get this whole thing going, which I was astonished.
Yeah, and actually there's a couple of systems that you can get for free right now. The Maryland system, they provide their software for free. Voting Works, which is the system that is in the majority of counties in Ohio and will be used in New Jersey starting in November. They are providing their software for free. for the November 2020 election. So there's really no excuse now why states, cannot provide these systems.
Amen.
Amen.
And it's required by federal law. So,
Well, we appreciate all your work on this stuff over the years and getting, the sort of opinion, stuff ready that we shared, the documents we shared about, it's required under Title II of the ADA and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff is really helpful in terms of making our case in Colorado when we got this legislation passed.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. The people who design the stuff at the polls, Dan and I went to a demonstration of Dominion equipment, and the engineer was there, and we ripped his system apart.
Yeah.
And he could not understand why we were not happy with this system. And it was funny but sad in a way, because clearly whoever designs, they don't talk to the right people.
Well, those guys, he doesn't get any slack from me, because there were at least two. They hired a consultant to have at least a couple of tests on accessibility that we were involved with in the NFB of Colorado, and including using some of our seniors. And we gave them very consistent feedback to what we told that engineer that day too, Curtis, and they just didn't listen. 2 years down the road, and they hadn't heard a word.
Yeah, well, part of the problem is that the process to get the system certified is very time consuming and very expensive. So when there are changes that need to be made, it takes forever for those changes to, get into the certification process and then get certified and then get actually, back into the systems that are, out in the field. So it's a very,
I have opined, Luann, that they need to get some real live blind people in the labs. And they're not willing to do that. I would sign all kinds of confidential stuff, because a lot of these problems could be caught at the design phase if we could just get them to open it up. And they're not going to do it because they think they know all about this stuff. They don't. I mean, I'm sorry, they're a bunch of sighted people. What do they know?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff they don't think about, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, everybody. I think this was a very helpful call, and I'm feeling very inspired to get out and vote or stay in and vote.
Vote. That's what I say. All right, good night, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Night, everybody.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.